Hi, Montina. Welcome to Wings Neighborhood. And I am so looking forward to this chat. I know that you and I have stayed in touch after you completed the program and moved on to bigger and better leadership opportunities. And we always love to hear stories from our mentees. And you are our first one in the series. So welcome to this session. Well, my name is Varsha Vaishampayan. For everyone who doesn't know me, I'm a CEO and a founder for Wings for Growth. And I'm going to turn it over to Montina for her to introduce herself. And let's hear about her story and her journey.
Thanks, Varsha. I'm so excited to be here today for the first session that we're having. So my name is Montina Hardesty. I am a manager of compensation and benefits at a company called Zoetis. For those of you who don't know, Zoetis is an animal health company that develops and manufactures medicines for animals, serving people like veterinarians, livestock producers, or anyone really who raises and cares for farm or companion animals. So in my role as a manager of compensation and benefits, on the compensation side, it can be really anything from annual salary structures to the annual salary review process, incentive, short-term and long-term. On the benefit side, we cover total well-being. So that's anything from health insurance, family and caregiver support, paid time off, mental health support, medical specialty programs, a savings plan, and so much more. And then most importantly, I'm actually a Wings graduate. I was a mentee in the Wings program from 2020 to 2021.
That is awesome. You know, Montina, I always learned this early on in my career, that you should always have a friend in HR, and specifically the one who is thinking about compensation.
About how much you get paid.
I mean, I have to say, the friendship didn't really favor me in any way in any companies, but it felt really good that I know someone if I have to go and get advice. But they were friends. So after I left the company, they were good friends to go to and get advice. So
always have a compensation friend.
So Montina, you mentioned you were a mentee in the program last year, and I know that you were also a master of ceremony for the graduation, and I have seen you grow and do so well in your program, during your program and during your time here at Wings. My next question would be, what makes Montina who she is today?
So asking me the question today at this point in time, after where I am now professionally and personally, after the going through the program, now I would say I've found myself as in self-confidence, self-love. That's not always been the case. It's definitely been a journey, and will always be a work in progress, that's for sure. But when I was thinking about the Wings program, one of the things, as you know, that we did really at the kickoff before the program really went into full swing was a strength assessment. So during that strength assessment, I had never done anything like that before. And my top 5 strengths that came out were intellection, empathy, restorative, analytical, and individualization. So after getting those results, I remember having a conversation with my mentor, Nicole, and I said, Nicole, great, how am I going to get my dream job with these things? They're not even really skills, they're more like traits. And she said, no, I completely disagree with you. I think that just means you have more options. Mm-hmm. So that was definitely really eye-opening, having done that strength assessment. And it's almost like I had those tools, but I didn't know how to use them. So what's the point of having all these tools or these special skills if you're not really sure how to use them, or what makes them important, or what makes them individual to you? So an example I can give, being that I work in compensation and benefit. So we implemented a new benefit program a while back, but it was something new. And while it's not something that I would personally use because of my personal situation, it is something that I can understand why people would want to use it or would need to. And I can put myself in someone else's shoes and understand where they're coming from, why this would be very important to some people. So having something like empathy that I learned, which is really important to be able to tap into, is something that actually can help me for my job, but actually makes me even a more ideal candidate in some cases than someone who, could only think about themselves or what would be useful for them or what is only a benefit that they think would be important. So I think learning that how I can really embrace who I am and how that can make me really unique and be my unique self, that is how I would really describe myself today, that I understand, what my strengths are. I realize their strengths, and I am proud and actually really, really love myself for being different in those ways. And I really did not always feel that way, like I said. So I definitely learned a lot over the past year and a half.
You know, that warms my heart. It's so, so true. I always, this was true when I was a mentee, and then later on I became a mentor, and now I've been doing Wings for almost 6 to 7 years. I always feel that women tend to focus on things that they need to fix, right? Oh, I need to improve this. I need to fix this. We don't often think about what we can accomplish with what we have, right? So that whole idea of doing self-assessments and actually incorporating those traits and strengths into your development plan to achieve goal is something that I found personally was very useful when I was growing up. And I think that you just touched on that. That makes me very happy. So congratulations on that. And empathy is such an important trait for leaders to have. And you'll be surprised how many leaders don't have, especially in corporate America. They lack that empathy and humility. So I'm very happy that you picked up on that and now you're practicing. I think my next question, you probably have already responded, but let me ask anyway, that what did you find unique about Wings program? In addition to you love self-assessment and now you know who you are there any other components of the program that specifically that you found unique and they were helpful to you?
Yeah, definitely. So the number one thing that I always say that's been really special about Wings is the concept of practice, practice, practice. So that is something that, anyone could attend sessions or read materials or different learnings, but unless you're actually doing or practicing the skills, that's how you really learn. So in all of our workshops, for example, we would have some learning and then we would actually be able to practice. And so it's not only doing the practice, but also getting real-time feedback. And feedback from an entire community. So you have your fellow mentees, maybe in different industries and so on. You have your mentor in a lot of cases that you'd be having discussions with. But in a lot of our sessions, we had a lot of very senior individuals. So we have a lot of Wings board members who had even joined to be presenters or who had offered to help critique us on some of our practice. We have founder, CEO, and board member you, Barsha, giving us feedback. So these are all really valuable things. A lot of senior people and a lot of great organizations, have a lot of great experience. So it's really valuable that, some people would just to even seek out someone that's in a successful position to be able to critique them and give them feedback like that. I mean, that's a really unique opportunity. And during this program, it was not a one-time ask, for an opinion. This is through the entire program. It's very high touch. You're getting support, feedback, and everyone wants you to do well. So everyone's there to help you. One of the things that I kind of touched on before about the developmental plan and being able to tie in some of the things that what are our strengths into the developmental plan. This also is something that needs to be attainable, but it's something that really helped me because we really refined it before we went going. So it wasn't something I just, jotted down some goals that I wanted to achieve and then we went with it. It really needed to make sense. And one example I can share is one of my goals initially in my plan, it ended up being different, but I said, I want to be a trusted advisor in this area. So I was having a conversation with my mentor at the time, and she said, well, what does that really mean? Is the trusted advisor, is that, the person who the CEO is telling all their deepest secrets to? Is that something that's really attainable? Or maybe do you want to be a subject matter expert? So it's kind of having those conversations. What is something that I want, my ultimate goal, but what are realistic steps? So maybe within this 10-month time frame, I can work on being a subject matter expert, but maybe it wouldn't necessarily, within those few months, I wouldn't be sitting at the table with the CEO talking about, all the company secrets. So being able to do that practice and having the discussions with the team, this is very different than any leadership development program.
It's Montina, as you're describing practice, practice, practice is something really funny that I got so much that in my head, every day talking to the mentees, hey, practice, practice, practice. This is how you're going to get these skills, internalize and become better at that. I actually started to even say that to my husband when he was learning how to make pasta. And he was chopping the vegetables in the wrong way and not, cooking the pasta exactly the right temperature. And I kept telling him, you got to practice, and he would remind me that, hey, this is not your wings program.
But hey, it works. So why not practice making the pasta?
And I think this is, you have mentioned your mentor so many times, and we should really mention Nicole Knott, who was your mentor during the program last year. And, this is, I think, Montina, would you agree that this was a great match, even though we never really match on personalities or chemistry? We match people based on their objectives. And this is something, in your case, has worked out really, really well.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's a lifelong connection for me. So the program's been over for quite some time now, and we're still in touch. We still catch up. But it's funny because the first time that we had our meeting to meet each other virtually, our whole program was virtual because of COVID. But the first time we met, I was very nervous, and I said, oh, I hope, she likes me. I hope. And I mean, after we introduced ourselves, we just started having conversation. She's so easy to talk to. We had a lot of similar goals that we wanted to achieve in our careers. She had, being where she is, she had already achieved a lot of those, but she was someone who I definitely looked up to, or still look up to, and someone who I felt like and still feel like I could learn from.
And she continues to be a mentor at Wings, and we're very grateful to her. So my next question, Montina, that if you have to talk about your 3 topmost leadership skills that you are practicing every day and you would never want to let go as you grow in your career, what would they be?
So firstly, I would say delegation. One of our sessions was called The Art of Delegation. And this is something I really needed a lot of help on, because I was always oh, it's okay, I'll do it. Don't worry, I'll just do it. It's easier if I do it. If I have to take the time to maybe explain this, it's just faster if I do it. So I'll just do it. So that's something that it still takes practice to do, especially if it doesn't come naturally. But it was very interesting to me during this workshop to see, we had a chart. So the different stages of delegation, anything from on one side of the chart, it was, I will tell you exactly what to do step by step. And the other side of the chart was, you have full, you can do whatever, use your judgment, basically. You can use your judgment. You can do whatever you see fit, and you handle it, and anything between. So learning kind of some of those different approaches, and maybe there's not one size fits all for every situation, but putting those into practice in different areas of what I'm doing has been huge in just, leadership style, and even just workload and how to better prioritize things. And then presentation skills, I think I had mentioned that a little before. So we, one of the webinars that we had, or the workshops where we were actually practicing, was the presentation skills. So we learned a lot about presentations, a lot of good tips, techniques from a lot of, some actually 2 board members who have done a lot of presenting in their careers. And then at the end of the session, or the second part of the session, it was, okay, now you do the presentation, you do a presentation. And I thought, right now, really now? But yeah, so we did a presentation right then, and we got critiqued. So we got real-time feedback. And that is something that I am even now. So this isn't something that I would naturally say, hey, I'll get on and have a conversation. It's something that's going to be recorded. This isn't something that, is in my, that comes naturally to me, but practice, and with practicing the presentation skills and in the other areas, it's something that I can have more confidence to do. And then finally, one that I really like is how to say no. So this is something that has, again, not been something that comes easy, because I can say, hey, don't worry, I'll definitely do this, or whatever you need, I'm here. But that doesn't always make sense, and you're not doing, not only yourself, but others, you're kind of doing a disservice to if you're always being a yes person. So being able to say no, and it's not being mean or it's not being confrontational. It's just, no, this isn't something I could do right now, or this is what I can do, or let's talk about it. It's just having conversations about it. And I wasn't thinking about this one, but when I just said that, I thought about the crucial conversations concept as well, which is important.
You know, I have seen you practice all three of them. So I can definitely say that these are the things that you absolutely wanted to make sure that you master them, and you did really well. Another thing that I will mention, Montina, is just, you know, recently, it was only last week, I read something on LinkedIn from a CEO of Novartis about art of delegation. He said that it's always a good idea to write down what is your role in the project or in the team or in the organization versus your team's role. And every time there is a confusion or doubt, or you're overwhelmed, or you're wondering if you should delegate or not, check that chart. Is this your role? If not, then don't do it. Yeah, I thought that was very insightful.
Yeah, I really like that. That's a really good point. And sometimes when you're overseeing someone, it's the, you know, are you responsible for the actual task, or are you responsible for giving guidance or oversight? And that sometimes can be a tricky one to balance, but that's really good advice.
Okay, so the next question is, I know one thing that Montina has is a big heart. And she, even though she's learning how to say no, she's very passionate, and she is always willing to help whoever needs her help. So Montina, how are you thinking of paying it forward now that you have attended the program, you have a bigger, better job, and you're going to continue to grow in your career? But one thing that Wings principle is very important to me is that all of our mentees are regularly thinking about how to pay it forward. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I love helping others. So this is not an example of something I would say no to because I love it. I think I've mentioned before, I wish I could do this full time. I would love to just help people all day. But I have a recent example. Just this past weekend, with it being the US holiday Thanksgiving, I did a meal delivery volunteer program. So the Sunday before, we went to a location to pick up prepared meals, and then we were given a card with a address and information for someone who was going to be the meal recipient. So we got to bring them the meals and have a nice conversation and something like that. I mean, it just made someone's day. And the person who I was talking to, I did a couple of different drop-ups, just said, "Oh my gosh, this is so nice. Like, thank you for the conversation. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here." And just something so simple as, you know, stopping by and dropping something off. It was just really nice to do. And Zoetis does have a volunteer policy, so I really like also working for a company that's supportive of things like volunteering and thinks it's important for colleagues to make a difference in the community in other areas. And I really do think that when other people are happy, that's what makes me happy. So I truly want everyone to be happy. So this is something that is very important to me, and I want to continue. That was just one example, but the site actually at work has you can browse different volunteer opportunities. So I feel like I'm interested in, you know, every other thing that comes up. So I'll definitely be doing a lot more of that.
That is super awesome. Thank you. And thank you for doing that. And thank you for thinking like this. So the next question is, you know, every year I can say that our program is growing along with our mentees and our leadership and mentors. We all are learning together and moving forward together. So the program, I would say, gets tougher and tougher every year because we include more and more aspects of how women can continue to practice leadership in a complex situations. Montina, what will be your advice to the mentees who are currently in the program? Because as you know that most of these women are high potential women sponsored by their companies. They have full-time job. Many of them are full-time moms. It's really hard to juggle and stay focused. What's your advice for them?
Yeah, so this is a great opportunity. Take advantage of this program. I mean, without being in a program like this, there are some people who would write to senior people in their organization asking for, 10 minutes of their time. I just want to run this by you or get in front of you and something like with the program, you get to do that during the entire program. You get to be in front of a lot of great resources, great community. Take advantage, I would say, firstly. But secondly, you also have to do the work. So you will get out of the program what you put in. So this is not something where you go and sit through a session and check the box that was here and that's it. Like you're only going to grow from this if you're actually doing the practice, taking the feedback and working on your goals and working through your development plan. That's how you're going to get a lot of results out of the program. But keep in mind that success is not a straight line up to the right. There's going to be times when you might think that you're taking a step back instead of step forward, but as long as you learn from things that you're experiencing. I remember another example of my mentor Nicole. I had something that we had talked about that I had a conversation with the previous manager that didn't go how I had wanted it to, or didn't go smoothly, and she said, and I was saying, oh, this didn't go how I wanted. I was kind of upset, and she said, no, what's the next step? What's your plan now? What are you going to do? So as long as you're able to pivot, able to learn from something, that's really important. So stay accountable, but also don't be too hard on yourself. You have the whole community that wants you to succeed. If you ever need a pep talk, if you need someone to tell you, you're doing a good job or it's gonna be okay, call me, call anyone of the Wings, the Wings community. Everyone is here for you, so really take advantage.
I think that's the secret of the program. It's not even secret, the secret is out now. But honestly, I think that I always say to people that if you give 100% to this program, the program will give you 200% back, right? This is exactly how it works. It's not going to, if you're just checking the box, then the program will also check the box for you, right? It's what you put in is what you get out. And I have seen you, Montina, giving your 100% to the program and to your mentor. What that does is your mentor is also very motivated to help you because you are delighted to be mentoring, you are taking advice seriously, you're putting them into your action plan, and you're growing. And what more a mentor can ask for from the time that they spent above and beyond doing their own work. So I think that's a key advice, and thank you for stressing that. So the last question, what's the next big thing for Montina?
There's so much I want to do, but I want to spend more time on myself. So I know we talked about in the program that this is professionally and personally. So I want to spend more time on myself for sure. Self-care is not selfish. I was actually watching on LinkedIn Live that you had with Josie Ann from one of the previous cohorts a few weeks ago, and she said something that really made me think. She said, I don't want to spend time on people or things that don't align with my values. And I said, I want to do that too. So I think she was really inspiring. But one of the things, kind of going back to the beginning when we were talking about the strengths, the intellection, that was something that was one of mine. So I never thought of myself as this like big intellect that was, thinking all the time. But one of the things on my report, it said that this group are introspective and appreciate intellectual discussions. And I thought, I want to have more conversations. I want to talk to more people who have similar interests in mine, or like-minded people that, like wings, or like development, or self reflection. So an example is during the past couple of years during the COVID pandemic, we've all been fairly isolated. And for some people, it drove them crazy. They were bored or wanted to get out. But for me, I really took advantage of that time. I really reflected inward and thought, am I okay? Is my mental health okay? Is there anything I need to work on? But a concept that was kind of newer to me during the last couple of years that I wouldn't necessarily have thought about before was the concept of mindfulness. So that's something I wanted to learn more about or have more conversations about. I'd love to be more present and aware and get tips that way. I also want to have more fun. So maybe I'll have a holiday party. I'll invite you if I do.
Please
And
do.
then, and then finally, I kind of talked about this already, but I would just want to do more work supporting those in need.
Yeah. We celebrate you every single day, Montina. You have done really well in the program. You're doing well in your life, and you're absolutely it's a delight to watch you grow. Stay in touch. Continue to pay it forward for Wings and other women at Wings. And I think one part that you mentioned, which is super important, and I hope that mentees who are the people who are listening to this recording, they understand the importance of networking, right? So especially, it's not the networking that how many business cards you're collecting when you go to an event. That's not the kind of networking I'm talking about. It's really the Wings community. You've grown together for 10 months. You've heard each other. You've listened to each other's development areas, presentation skills, public speaking skills. You all are here with a very common interest, and that is to grow. And the power of helping each other grow is probably far better than anything else. So if people aren't taking advantage of that networking and that community, then I feel that they're missing out very important part of the program. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much, Montina. And I wish you the best. And I know that I will continue to watch you grow. So thank you for your time. And thank you for being part of Wings family.
Thank you. It was great being here.